now I'm angry. So I said, well, I'm going to kill him. So they said, well, is there any place you would like to go? Asking him. I said, what the hell? So,
guys, welcome back to Naya's News. This is the channel where I report news about my life while being open, honest, and transparent as much as possible. So as you guys can see by today's title, I'm going to be talking about loss and grievance. And I have my mom here with me, and in particular we're going to be talking about the loss of my oldest brother. How many years has it been this year?
27.
27 years. Okay, so my oldest brother, Lacey, was murdered in 1991. I never got the chance to meet him because I was born in 95. So all of my memories, you can say, or recollection of him has been what family members have told me. And I'm not sure if you remember. I remember seeing like pictures of Lacey around the house and like asking who he was, because I just never knew, like at mama's house. So in particular, my older brother, as I said, was murdered in 1991. Growing up, I didn't know him, of course, so I used to always see pictures around the house. So in particular, like in my grandmother's house, great-grandmother's, and my mom's house. So I remember one day asking you who he was, and that's when you sat me down and explained everything to me, excuse me. So I wanted to have you talk about loss and just explain that loss of a child, because of course I don't know, and I think it can be very helpful and give tips, because for you to be, how old are you?
61.
Yes. For her to be 61 and just gone through different trials and tribulations, she has experienced a lot of loss. And being the youngest, I feel like I've still lived with my mom, so I've experienced some of those losses with her, being that I live with her. So I've created some questions that I'm going to like interview on, and I would like you to just answer them. So my first question is, and again, this is in regards to the loss of my oldest brother, so she's speaking in terms of that particular loss. Did you ever have a time that you just wanted to give up? If so, when?
I don't remember ever having a time I wanted to give up. It was more just wanting to come to grips with what had happened so I can continue to do better and move on. You sometimes hear people say you have to get well and do better for the children you already have, but you have to first get yourself together.
And so, at the time of his passing, you had Trell and Peaches?
At the
or
time,
just Peaches?
No, at the time it was Peaches and I had Latrell.
Okay. Peaches and Latrell, those are my two siblings. How old were they?
Trell was 4 and Peaches was 8.
Okay. Take me back, or take us back to that time that you received the phone call. Like, what were you doing?
I had the flu, and it was summer, and my girlfriend Buttons, a neighbor of mine, used to sit outside late. So she thought that I was coming back outside, so she called me, and I told her I wasn't coming back out, and that was early on. She called me back again about 1 a.m. to tell me, or to ask me to come back out, I thought. And she said, no, that's not why I'm calling you. She said, Lacey has been shot. So I thought it wasn't nothing too serious. So I got myself together because I wasn't feeling well. And I got my keys and forgot my wallet. And I said I need to go back and get my wallet. So with that, I ran down the stairs and she was on her floor. And I asked her to come down with me. And she was upset and crying, so she told me to go ahead. And I went down, and that's when I seen him laying in the hallway of our building.
Of the lobby?
The lobby.
What floor did you live on at the time?
I lived on the 12th floor.
Okay.
So I ran down to the first floor, And when the police was there and realized who I was, a young white police officer, she lifted me up, and she wasn't big as a button, and she lifted me up and put me on the staircase, and that's when she found out who I was. But at that moment, I saw them dropping the sheet down on Lacey, so I knew he had passed.
You knew at that time that when Buttons called you, or when you saw him?
I thought when Buttons called me to tell me he had gotten hurt, I thought he was okay, and that's what made me say, I need my wallet, my keys, so we take a cab back and so forth.
You didn't know where Lacey was at that time? Or she told you?
I didn't know he was in the
So you thought you was leaving to go somewhere?
I thought I was leaving to go outside to the front park.
Okay.
And when I got downstairs, I ran into him laying in the hallway on the first floor in the lobby.
What made you take the stairs?
Well, I felt I better hurry up, and no need waiting. Don't wait for the elevator. Let me hurry up. I took it as an emergency. Let me get downstairs.
Okay. And tying to the next question, how was it raising kids while experiencing a loss? Particularly raising Trell and Peaches.
Well, it was difficult because I had lost a son. But raising Trell and Peaches, I didn't have a problem raising my kids. But I just had to deal with raising my kids knowing I had already lost a son.
Okay. Did you ever seek outside help or support to deal with the loss?
I went to one support group one time. I had a friend, we're still friends till today. Her name is Fern. She recommended I go to a support group because she had lost a son. Mm-hmm. But I did go, but I found that wasn't working for me. So I went that one time. I never went again. And I just had to learn how to push on my own.
What worked for you? Talking about it, family, what worked? Or still is working, I should say.
What worked at that time was being able to talk to people that knew him, knew of him. Mm-hmm. His buddies always was around me, still are, and Mama was a consoler because she understood from way early on in her life of dealing with losses. Mm-hmm. So things like that. Family, to be honest, wasn't too much help because everybody was grieving in the way they were grieving about him. And I didn't seek special attention. I just learned I had to do it my way. And I'm stern, so that had a lot to do with me coming back around to the place that I needed to be in order to push on and continue.
Okay. What were the years of first like after that? Like the first birthdays, The first birthday, I always celebrated, did something for him. So it helped me to be busy. The first birthday was in the Stephen Foster Park, and that was rough because it was the first. Was it a big turnout?
It was a big turnout. It's always a big turnout. 200 or better. Still to today, that's the way that goes. What I did was, Christmas didn't upset me too bad because I had realized he had gotten older and he didn't care about Christmas as much as he used to. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving would bother me because I know he loved to eat. So that was a holiday that bothered me. But his first Christmas of being gone, of 91,
because
I didn't do any shopping or anything.
He was, just to help with the timeline, he was killed July 26th?
July 26th of 1991.
July 26th, 1991. And when was his service?
His service was August the 3rd on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock.
And the burial was that day as well?
Same day.
Okay, so the years of first, I'm talking about the first Christmas of him being gone, first Thanksgiving, holidays of the years after of him being gone. I remember you told me you didn't.
The first one wasn't as bad as the ones that grew on, because I began to realize he'd be older and he'll be eating more at Thanksgiving. Christmas began to bother me because now I'm saying, if Lacey was here, he would have bought me this and bought me that and asked me if I wanted this and wanted that. So that became a little hardship for me. That didn't last long, but it was like that for a little while.
Yeah. I know for me growing up, I didn't, not that I didn't understand, it was confusing because when Trell and Peaches would talk about him, it just seemed like this person I just don't know. And essentially that was the case for me because I was born into a family not knowing who my oldest brother was. It was more so just learning from him off of memories. And you didn't talk about him much growing up to me, and I think that was just your way of healing. But Mommy did. And just because him and my grandmother, they were like thick as thieves. So I think your healing was internally preoccupied, whereas Mommy, she expressed it just, oh, he did this around the house. He did, like, he would always make sure I had this or whatever. And just hearing, like, his friends when I go visit my grandmother in her neighborhood, because they're all still there, talk about, oh, he was like this on the basketball court, or just he used to enjoy this. That gives me Solomon peace of just knowing who he was, especially like the cookouts and just the speeches and reminiscing of like old times. He used to always love wearing Uptown, so I remember, I think it was the White Affair, you had everybody sign Sneak Up.
I always get him, whatever the color theme is for the event, I always get the sneakers to be that color.
And them parties be lit!
What? His last event, for some reason, I sort of switched it up, and I bought him the wheat Timbs.
Oh yeah, because you felt like he would have been older, and that was like
he still
the era.
Uptown.
Yeah.
But
that they've been in.
That was his signature sneaker, period. But I felt they would have been older and more guys getting up now, out going to work wearing that type of boot. So I bought him those for that event, and I allowed everybody to sign them, mark them up, and do as they please.
I remember you used to get pictures too. Like
I always give pictures.
You gave
anything.
We had
T-shirts, bandanas, headbands, whatever comes to my mind right then.
The pens with his pictures and stuff on it.
Hanging pictures, dog tags, anything to that effect. With his name.
Tell me a story about a time. What is your most fondest memory of Lacey? I have one that you told me that I like, but I want to hear what you got to say.
My fondest memory?
Or funny, I guess.
Oh, when I caught him at the party at Milbank.
That's what I was just going to say. I was thinking about that. How did you know about the party? I mean, you said Smoke, all of them was there.
His buddies from Group on Posse was there, called GHP. They were going, and he hadn't mentioned it. But I watched them get ready and prepare, and he had took his outfit to Shanique's house.
Side note, my mom is very the one where you gotta tell her, like, where we're going. Not that it's a bad thing, but she'll wait until we get dressed and like walking out the door to want to have a conversation about where we're going, what we're doing.
So he didn't have the clothes there. So they were at Shanique's house, and about 11 o'clock he wasn't there. So I said, I know where to put my hands on. So
you knew to go to Milbank?
Because everybody at that time, that group, everybody in the world was going to be at Milbank.
What was it? It was like a Saturday night or something?
Some rapper was going to be there.
You know what I'm saying? Like a Saturday night or something?
It was a Saturday. And he left with a black army fatigue suit on. And
a what?
He had on a black army fatigue suit.
A suit?
Yeah, the pants.
That must have been the thing.
It was. And he wore the army fatigue flop hats with the string.
Oh.
So
he thought he was fly.
Yes, he did. So he had all those outfits of different colors and the fatigue ones and things. That night, he had on the army fatigue ones when I got to the party. And this girl, Val, from Grant, she said, I went in there to find mine. You're not going to find yours. So I said, I guarantee you I'm coming out of there with him. So I went in. I looked around.
It was in the gym?
It was in the gym. Packed.
I remember you had his party there one year.
Yeah, that's where I have his things at. Packed. And I went in there, and I went over was headed towards Smoke.
You knew what he had on that day? So you knew what to look for?
I didn't know what he had on, because he had his whole outfit at Shanique's house. All day. He had not, because I told him not know where he going.
How old was he?
16. So what I did was I waited. So then I realized that's where everybody's at. So I walked out dressed. It was cold, February. So I walked up there. She told me that when she came out. I went in. I spotted Smoke, and he spotted me, and he's tall. So
yeah,
on that
real
note,
tall.
yes, he looked in Lacey's direction.
He gave him up.
So I said to myself, "Thank you, Smoke." So I made my way through the crowd, and he had a little cup. It was only serving sodas and things, but they had to buy your cup and everything. So he had his cup of straw, and I saw this little head bobbing to the side. He going with the music. So I tapped him on his shoulder. Probably thought I was a female. So he turned around with a smile, and he turned around, he saw me, he said, "Uh-oh, I'm out." And I said, "Out you are." So we left out, and the walk home, he saw a police car. And he went over to the police and unlocked their door and just got in the police car and sat down. The police wanted to know, "What are you doing?" He told the police, "I can't go home with her. She's going to kill me." So the police said, "Mom, are you upset?" I said, "No, but I'm going to kill him when I get him home." So he said, "Well, we can't let him go with you for saying that." I said, "Well, now I'm angry." So I said, "Well, I'm going to kill him." So they said, "Well, is there any place you would like to go?" Asking him. I said, "What the hell?" So he told them he wants to go to Mama's house. So
that's my great grandmother.
Yeah, so I said, he said, "That's all right." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I won't go up there and kill him tonight, but I'll get him." So
That's the third time you said you was gonna kill him in front of police officers.
I know. I wasn't. So and then he had the police
driving the mama?
No, the police never asked me where she lived. He just said, "Would it be okay?" And I said, "Yes." He told the police that Mama lived at Shanique's house. The police took him to Shanique's house and tucked him in and made sure he was safe. And I didn't call because I figured it was late. Don't bother Mama. I called Mama that morning. I said, "Mama."
You thought he was going to Mama's house.
So I told Mama, I said, "Mom, put Lacey on the phone." She said, "Lacey not here. When he on his way?" I said, "No, he's supposed to come there last night with the police." Now she get all upset. "Police, what the police bring?" So I explained everything to her. Then I put two and two together and realized he was at Shanique's house.
Did you go to Shanika?
No, I waited till he came.
And when he came, what happened?
I got it.
And what he did? What was the issue about him going? The fact he didn't say anything?
He didn't say anything. And I watched him go get a haircut, do everything. All that. I didn't say nothing. But I said, "When is this Negro going to say he's going to, or ask, can he go to Milburn?"
Wait, so how did you know it was Milburn?
Because that's where everybody's
Oh, so
kid
you
was
knew
gonna
something was happening that you just didn't know what?
Yeah. Everybody's kid was going to be at Milburn. And whoever was allowed to be out, they was going to be at Milburn. Nobody's going to be in the street that night. So that's how.
Okay, that last question. What are some tips that you would give other parents who experience a loss of a child to gun violence or just a loss of a child, period?
Just live off your inner strength and live off the things you told your son or your daughter. Try to be the example for them from what you told them. And just learn that you don't say it's over, because the worst part of your life is just begun. But what you do, you just tell yourself you have to push on and be that role model for your son or your daughter that's passed away.
Yeah, because I know the story. Okay, I'll share this story. The story that I've always been told was there was this girl in the projects that my mom lived at the time that liked my brother. My brother was not interested in this young lady. It was nothing wrong with the young lady's appearance or anything like that. He just didn't like her. He liked her cousin instead. So the story I've been told was because my brother did not like this particular young lady in the project, she essentially set him up to be murdered. What's the relationship between the girl and the guy that did it? Were they friends, or how was that?
They were friends. And he liked her.
Okay.
And she didn't like the fact that she liked Lacey.
Yeah, okay. So that's the better way of putting it. So that was the story I've always been told, even growing up. Even, it wasn't a situation where no one said that story. When I tell you, everyone that I know growing up consistently told that exact same story. So for me, not knowing who my brother was, I was bound to believe it because everyone said the same thing. It wasn't a variation in the details or whatever. So even for what's like his group called? Like his
GHP, group home party.
Group home. My brother, he was in like a group, y'all. So there was
Not
like
gang.
yes, not a gang. It was a group. Yes. So it was just like a group of people, and like a group of kids in the neighborhood that they just hung around with each other at like little memorials that she does for my brother. She sold T-shirts, all that stuff. It was generally just a good time. So that was the story I've always been told, and I know from my sister, she took it hard only because as she's gotten older, she started to hear the story a lot more, and she honestly became angry to the point where she wanted to fight the girl. But of course, that didn't happen. No violence over here unless necessary when it comes to just defending yourself. So that didn't happen. And I noticed that you said you ran into the girl. I say girl because she was a girl at the time.
I was on the number 3 train one morning, and I wasn't going to work. I must have just been probably going to shop or do some errands. She stepped on the train, and she had a baby in her hand. The baby was an infant at the time. And she went to step back off. The door's closed. And I told her, you don't have to get off, have a seat. And I calmly told her, due to her actions and her involvement with what had happened, I said to her, calm is something, everybody gets a turn. And I told her that your baby, that thing, that's what I called her. I called her, that thing that you're holding will grow up one day and you will see, because she's going to be nothing but disrespectful to you. And lo and behold, through the years I heard how she just got worse and worse, this girl with her mom.
Yeah, and my grandmother, she still lives across the street from where my mom used to live and where the murder happened. She's lived there for years. She's told me that she's ran into the girl a couple of times, and she just has the screw face and everything. It's just, she's not nice. So I don't, and just for clarification, the guy who did it, he's in prison. He's not getting out for a very long time, well over until his 90s, because after the incident with my brother, he ended up killing another young man, and a week later, my mom said, and he went to jail, and he's been in jail for how long? It happened in 91.
And he's still in jail.
Okay, so it happened in 91, and he's still in jail and won't be getting out anytime soon. And I say that with a smile. So I thought this video was really important because she, being the youngest of my mother's children, she's gone through a lot of loss, and I've experienced a lot of those losses with her because I still live with my mom. And how old are you?
61.
Period. She's 61. Look, peep the edges, honey. So I've experienced a lot of those losses with her. Granted, it's affected me differently because I'm her child. So when she tells me stories about my brother, of course I'm eager to listen. So it's much more just her telling me about her child that essentially I don't know. That's the reality of it, because he was taken away from us before I ever got the chance to meet him. But I will say, my mom has always told me that he was very stern and like mannerable. Like he loved basketball. Like that was just his thing. He loved football too. What was his team?
He worked
Redskins or something?
He loved the Redskins, and his
I've never even heard of that team, but
was the Lakers.
And she loved her some Kobe Bryant, baby. You couldn't tell this lady nothing about Kobe. Rest in peace. She loved some Kobe. So the things that I enjoyed that we did or continue to do now just to remember my brother is have memorials, have birthday things for him. I remember one year, one White Affair, she got sneakers to have everybody sign. Them parties was lit. Just saying. So that's one of the memories I personally enjoy of having and talking about Lacey. So I think that is very important. Any last words for parents or just anyone?
It never goes away. It just lifts, but it visits. Those pains and things, they visit. You just have no control over when they visit. You have no control over how you're going to handle it when the visit comes. You just know that it'll go away, but you better believe it'll come back. And I was saying that I always developed the saying, all on my own for myself. And as I got through saying each one, I learned that I was getting better, because one time I couldn't say it at all. I would get stuck. And I say to this day, I did not see my son yesterday. I will not see him. I did not see my son yesterday. I will not see my son today, and I won't see him tomorrow. There was a time I could not get through that whole sentence. And so one day I just pushed through it. And then I felt better at that, because I knew I was making progress on my own for myself. And I often think about, you never know when is the next one, but it will be a next one. And I often sit and I think, when I hear someone has lost their son, I pretty much can guarantee that I'm going to get a call and I'm going to be asked if I can speak or if I would mind speaking. And I'm very good with speaking in the public eye, so that's okay, but it's just sometimes that particular occasion is rough. But I always end those, when I speak at children's funerals, I always speak by saying, take it from a mother who knows.
That wraps up for today's video, guys. This is one of the videos that I thought was really important, because this year marks 28 years that he has been gone. And when you guys see this video, it'll be Sunday, July 26th. So I wanted to just do a video where it was really sentimental to me, as well as I knew my mother would be open and honest about sharing her experiences of losing a child. So that wraps up for today's video, guys. I'll see you guys in my next one.